Well, hello and welcome to Jane Faze Creates YouTube channel, where I teach all things gel printing, or specifically laser image transfer, which is the process I most love on the gel plate. In this lesson, I'm going to be using typography, and this will be the first in a series of videos where I am using some images out of my Etsy pack, which is called Typography No.1. I created this for my own benefit, and then I loved it so much I thought, you know what, I might release it along with other images for others of you to use, and so it's available in my Etsy store. But I designed things specifically for the gel plate, and I'm thinking of the process of gel printing in mind each and every time I create an image. So whether it's a photo on my travels or an image from my computer, I'm thinking through how that will work on the gel plate. So when I made this image, I thought the opposite would be a fabulous addition to the pack. And so what I've done for each of the images is to create a black on white and then a white on black. And in this lesson, I'm going to be showing you through a few ways that we can use those images together. So I'll be working on something similar to this, but these are some other images and gel prints I've done using my typography from that pack. So let's get started. Now these are laser prints, and I have a very good A4 laser printer at home, so I'm able to easily print off these images. It must be a laser printer, not inkjet. And just to also keep in mind that a laser printer does not print all the way to the edge of the page. So you need to keep that in mind when you are working on a gel plate and making sure the size works with the print. With my A4 laser printer and the 8x10 gel plate, you can see that even though it doesn't come all the way to the edge, if I manage my placement carefully, I can get the full image on it. But if you notice that the image is also much longer than the 8x10 gel plate, so I need to be strategic or specific in my placement, whether I place my images lower down or in the middle or higher up. For my first layer, I'm going to be using the black on white image and put that aside, ready to go. It's a laser print, remember, and I'm going to use a bit of a blend of, what have we got here? We've got white and a bit of turquoise. So we have olive green light in Amsterdam, got Liquitex titanium white, and a touch of golden turquoise, which I will probably put more of in my second layer. So I'm just wanting a hint of it in this layer. So I'm not going to blend it completely. Look at that gorgeous color. And getting my roller. So I need a nice, smooth, calm surface with this color. Now this needs to be quite opaque, but not too thick. So you're balancing that thickness and the overall smooth, thin layer with trying to get an opacity as well. So I think that's thin enough. I think I've touched my roller into something on my, a little bit of turquoise, and I'm just blending that in. That's good to go. And now just selecting the part of my image. I think I'll try and get most of that A at the top. Laying that down a few seconds. I guess it's in general about 10 seconds. I don't count. I just sort of, just give it a good massage, firm massage with the flat of my hand, avoiding my ring. And when you feel that it's getting there, rolling that off. And there we go, a lovely green. It does have some hints of the turquoise in it, which is what I wanted. And then that's the laser print. So there is a bit of green covering the black, but where the white is, where the white paper is, it's absorbed all the paint. And then where the black toner is, it leaves the paint behind. It's an amazing technique. So we always let that dry. We do not want to smudge that. So we want that to be completely dry before we add our next layer. And what you can do in that time is think about your colours. Got a nice green there with the turquoisey highlights to it. So this is where you're thinking through what colour in behind the green, what colour will that make? Because while it is quite opaque, it will change the colour of the green. So you don't want to make the green muddy. If anything, I want to make it brighter. But I also want to do a contrasting colour. So I'm tempted to do a light turquoise, which will hopefully not make the green too muddy and be enough of a contrast. So I could just do a blend of this, and which is a good way with your palette, is actually you could mix those colours here and just have the slightest hint of green in that next layer, and that just blends them together. So I'm going to get my hairdryer just onto that. Even while I've been talking, it's probably dry, but I don't want any chance that it'll be wet. So I'll just give it a little burst with my hairdryer. So I have my turquoise and white on my palette here. And you'll notice what I've talked about is transparent and opaque paints. Now this turquoise is a transparent paint. So I'm mixing it with some white. I want to lighten it as well. Oh, it's very bright. I might try and dull that down a little bit with, what will I get? I've got a nice turquoise green light here, so I'm just going to pop a little bit of that in just to tone it down a smidge. It's very bright. So, I mean, I do want it to have a little bit of unevenness in it. So let's see how we go. I've still got green on that roller. So I'll just grab a new fresh dry roller. And I am going to use now the predominantly black image, which means where the black is, it will keep the paint on the gel plate, and where the white is, it will pick it up. And that is why I've done the black image second, to keep more of the design on the gel plate. Otherwise it would lift and then you'd lose a lot of your design. So you've really got to think strategically about the order in which you lay down your images in this reverse or double exposure, and just make sure that you do an image that is got a lot of black works better as the second layer. Okay, so I've turned it upside down so that the images aren't identical. Those letter forms intermingle quite a bit more. So good massage, firm touch to make sure there's good contact, and we're balancing the transfer plus a pickup. So it's a little bit tricky. It can be unpredictable. So embrace the unpredictableness of this technique. So there are some areas where the turquoise is quite thin, but it has picked up quite cleanly. So it'll be interesting to see how obvious the green and the turquoise are together. But the laser print looks lovely, as it always does. So I'll be looking forward to seeing the print. So again, we let this dry. And while we're doing that, letting it dry, we clean our roller. And while you're also thinking through and letting that dry, now's a good time to be thinking of other options as far as substrate and colour and further techniques. So lots and lots of options, and this is a great time to think those through. I've just decided to add another little element, and I hope I don't live to regret it, but I've got a neutral here, Naples Yellow Red Light, and I have a piece of textured wallpaper. So rather than these clean areas being completely white and plain, I'm actually going to just use my brayer and roll onto my wallpaper, and this just rolls onto the raised areas of the wallpaper. And I'm just thinking I'll stamp a little bit into some of those areas, only just lightly and randomly. Can you see what I've done there? So just, it doesn't matter if I go over the same area, just a little bit down the side there and down the bottom here. So that might just, add a bit of texture in behind those white letters. I don't want it to take off any of the paint. So if you stamp into that a dry textured wallpaper, you're likely to lift some of that. So let's see how that is looking. I think that might just hopefully not overdo it. Just a touch. So I will leave that as is. So I've got a bit in the top right, which will become the top left, a tiny bit up there, a bit down the side, and a bit more in the center there. So, just random placement. And now I need to leave that to dry, and then I'm going to just use a pickup layer of probably white, because then the white will just subtly make that visible, but also make sure that the colors remain clean. So just some of my titanium white as my pickup layer, and hopefully that will also mean that those colors and just that neutral, very soft neutral pattern, hopefully that will show up a little bit. I don't want it overpowering the letters, but I just thought I'd add it as just a little bit more decoration. So this doesn't have to be super thin, but it needs to be nice and even all the way to the edges. And just making sure your shape's good on your gel plate and that it's centered on my backing board, so that when I lay this down, it will hopefully be in exactly the same place. So a little bit of a hairdryer and let that dry. Depending on where you are, it might be, 5 minutes with a hairdryer, it might be half an hour to an hour under a book, but just give it some time to dry. Okay, hopefully it's all dry. Time to pull our print. And you can see that pattern poking through. come off nice and cleanly from the gel plate. And there's our nice colours. The differentiation between the blue and the green is quite good. And, you know, the extra touch of that pattern has made it a little bit more interesting. The blue, because you're trying to pick up the green, it's a bit lighter, but that's quite common. And other than that, it's really three very nice prints there. So we had, first of all, the green, which is the black toner, leaving behind that paint, so that created the green image. Then I turned my black one, predominantly black, around, which lifted, because wherever the black is, it lifts what's on the print. So it lifted the green areas and created very strong, you know, stark images, some letter forms there. Really, really good transfer. And then I came in with my textured wallpaper just to add a little bit of, you know, bit of interest in all those white letters, and pulled it with white. So that is just using these two images, but you could go to town with all the others in the pack. There's some cursive, there's some Roman capitals, just various different text layouts that you can use, intermingle in your gel printing. So enjoy, have fun with double exposure on the gel plate.